what would it be like to be a human risk analyst? Did I kind of stump you with that title there? Don't worry about it. To be honest, before I researched for this talk, I was a little bit stumped myself. But rest assured, it does have to do with the world of information security. So things like phishing, vishing, smishing. And if all of that still sounds a little bit funny to you, don't worry. We're gonna break all of that down. And we're gonna do so by way of this fantastic guest. Her name is Shelby Dacko, and she is a human risk analyst. So if you are into the world of law enforcement, if you're into the world of covering social deviance, criminology, things like that, this might be a talk for you. You might just find that future profession, that future career. Before we do jump in though, I would encourage that like or subscribe. All right, well now that that's taken care of, let's get into things. So as promised, I would like to start this video by kind of breaking down what a human risk analyst job is all about. So here's a clip of Shelby doing just that.
A lot of the time when people think of InfoSec as well, they think of the technical side of it. So listeners might be surprised to find out that I myself am not quite a technical person. We do have many on our team who are, but I'm not one of those. So we focus on more of the human side of that security at social engineer with the things that I'm involved with.
Okay. Really quickly, I know we're going to get into this later, but maybe you could just highlight a few things in terms of your role and your responsibility as it pertains to what you were just referring to.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do 4 things that I'm involved with mainly. So I'll go through them. We do send out phishing emails as tests. We'll do vishing phone calls. So you can think of it as voice-based phishing.
Yeah.
And we'll do smishing text messages. And then we'll do on-site security assessments as well. So that's the really fun part that got me interested in the line of work, where people basically, our clients will hire us to assess their physical security, or in other words, they'll hire us to break into their buildings.
Okay, well, I hope that kind of gave you a good idea of what this job is all about. However, to add even further clarity, I do have this segment here, A Day in the Life. So I asked Shelby to kind of break that down for us as well, and hopefully by doing so, you're going to gain an even deeper knowledge and awareness for what this job is about.
It will usually start my day with some vishing. So we have different clients that will vish, and they ask us to basically elicit certain flags or pieces of information from their employees that their employees are told they're not supposed to give out. Okay. So a vishing call might look something like me calling and saying, hey, my name is Kaylee. I'm calling with HR today. You know, there was some information in your file that we just need to tighten up. Do you have a moment to go through that with me? So something that seems really innocuous. Yeah, definitely. And just see what kind of information they're willing to part with. So then we take that information, we'll put it into a form, and we'll feed all of this information back to the client, usually at the end of a month or however long they want it to go. And then we will write a report for them, tell them this is the information that we obtained from your employees. You know, this is the kind of things that most employees weren't aware was sensitive information, things like that. And we will give them mitigation suggestions on how to help and tighten their security more.
Okay.
So that's usually what the main part of my day is vishing. But, you know, I do other things as well, like content creation. So sometimes I'll have a couple hours to write or do media sourcing, keep up on the day-to-day of what's happening in the industry and things like that. I'm also involved in things that we do with phishing and smishing and things like that as well. So we also do what we call social engineering risk assessments. So sometimes it will be on the company as a whole or individual people within the company where we'll do research or OSINT, as we call it, open source intelligence gathering, on these individuals or these companies, and then we'll put together reports, launch attacks such as phishing or vishing attacks, these tests, and then write the reports on that. So it changes from week to week. There are weeks where I'm
Mm.
actually out and I'm doing the on-site assessments as well.
Now, in the course of this conversation with Shelby, I began to develop some ideas or outlooks towards this work in terms of what it's all about or certain aspects of it. And I kind of wanted to test those assumptions out by posing a bit of a question to Shelby. So here is one instance where, I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and find out more about the work itself.
I mean, it sounds to me like it could be a bit of a cat and mouse game where you're training up some of these organizations and they're figuring out ways of kind of deflecting and putting in
Hmm.
their own security protocols. I'm sure each organization has different varying levels of how strong they are in this regard. So for you as a person who's always trying to test that and test those boundaries, it must be at times like a bit of a puzzle, perhaps. Is this something that's consuming you where you're kind of trying to figure out different ways or different tactics or techniques to get around or to source information?
Absolutely. I love the illustration of it being a puzzle, because that's exactly what it is. And I have the privilege of working with a really great team. So we will get together and say, I'm having a really hard time getting this one flag, this one piece of information. How are
Yeah.
you guys doing it? What techniques are you using? So
Okay.
we constantly have this creative flow going where we're trying to come up with new ways to test and even trying to test more efficiently.
Now, this next clip is a really interesting one in the sense that it aligns with something that comes up time and time again on this program of life as when I'm interviewing tons of professionals, tons of entrepreneurs. And it has to do with this idea of career pathways not being linear. There's lots of zigging, there's lots of zagging, there's lots of squiggly lines in terms of, how people make their ultimate way into the profession that they land in. And in terms of Shelby, I mean, she started out within education. She was on a pathway towards using ASL, American Sign Language, in K to 12 classrooms. And then somehow she ended up within this world of social engineering. So here's a clip of her kind of breaking down, some of that for us, and also to just this notion of keeping an open mind towards things and really truly reflecting on your passions and challenging your assumptions about certain elements or certain things that you could be or might be interested in. You never know where that's going to take you. And in Shelby's case, this is a perfect example.
A certain element of what you're involved in is related to social deviance in a way, right? Like some
Mhm.
bad actors trying to steal some sensitive information or otherwise. Was that ever anything that appealed to you, like that side of things?
Oh yeah, I mean, who
Yeah.
who doesn't grow up watching like Criminal Minds or Ocean's movies or
Yeah.
so all of those things definitely interested me, but I never thought that it would be something that I could make into a career. I didn't even know this
Yeah.
career existed for the longest time. And so kind of seeing that come together, I just feel like I found my place.
Okay, well, next up represents a question that I often get in terms of professions, businesses, which is outlooks for the future. And in this case, job outlooks. So what does that look like moving forward within this world of social engineering, having jobs associated with vishing, phishing, smishing, all of that stuff? So here's Shelby breaking that down.
I mean, there's not going to be any shortage of work for us in the industry because vishing is on the rise, for lack of a better phrase, in the wild. We're seeing it happen more and more, but then the awareness of it and the need for the training is also on the rise. So I think we will see people start to do and implement, I hope, this training more and more. And as that happens, we'll need more and more companies doing it on this grander scale as well.
Now, after watching that last clip, we all know that the job prospects for this profession, human risk analyst, are looking pretty good. So if you are interested in getting into it, I did want to kind of dive into that with Shelby and ask, what are some ways that you can find out more about this and even get certification? So here's a clip of Shelby breaking that down for us.
I'd love to know a little bit more about what this certification means. I mean, for somebody who might be
Mm.
interested in this right now, they're listening. What is that all about, that certification? What goes into it? Perhaps you could share a little bit on that.
Yeah, so it's I love this question because I love this certification. It is the only certification like it in the world, and it puts to the test social engineering skills in a professional setting that it's very hard to test on, because who are you going to make vishing calls to? Who are you going to send phishing emails to?
Yeah.
How are you going to do all of this legally? Well, so this certification is the only one of its kind, and it's a great mixture of social engineering and technical skills as well. So you'll be tested on your OSINT skills, your ability to craft phishing emails, to make vishing calls, and you have to do all of this while adhering to the social engineering code of ethics that Christopher Hadnagy wrote as well. So leaving people better off for having met you, not using tactics like fear or greed to scare your well, for lack of a better word, targets into giving you the information that they
Mhm.
want. So you have to do this in an ethical way as well. But to pass, you also need to craft a report, because if you think about it, that's the end deliverable of any professional social engineer is going to be that report.
Yeah.
And you'll need to meet a required score. So it's a very, very interesting certification. And if you have any interest in getting into this field, I would absolutely encourage you to pursue it.
Okay. And where might people find this in terms of?
So you can find more information about it on our website at social-engineer.com. And to take it and to learn more about it, you need to take one of our courses. So we have the foundational application of social engineering course, and then the practical application of social engineering courses. So you can take one or the other of those, whichever interests you more, or both, and then you qualify to take that test, that
I
certification.
see. Is it digitally available, or is it something that people have to do on site?
No, you can do this remotely.
Well, sadly, I think we are reaching the end of this video, but as always, I do encourage you to check out the full-length audio version. There's just so much more contained within that. For example, we get this really engaging story of what it's like to be a human risk analyst in one particular aspect of that work, of that job. We also get a look at what it's like being a woman within tech, a woman within information security and social engineering, and what that experience has been like for Shelby so far. And of course, I mean, we also get into the world of AI and how that is shifting and changing this profession around. So there's lots more. Again, you can check that out wherever you access your podcast. Just do that search for Life as a ... All right, and final request, again, I'd really, really appreciate that like or subscribe. Okay, that just about does it. So I'll have another video coming out for you right next week, so don't miss it. All right, until then, we'll see ya.